uh, pay my sincere regards to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. So, as you are aware that my topic is Efonidipine in hypertension. So, before going into the topic, let us first see the classification of calcium channel blocker from the pharmacology book. The calcium channel blockers are divided into three parts, but we are main concerned with this dihydropyridines, and these dihydropyridines can again be divided into first generation, second generation, and third generation, depending on the onset of action and depending on the duration of action. So this first generation calcium DHP are more erratic in behavior, but third generation calcium channel blockers like amlodipine are very static one, very smooth antihypertensive, and that's why they are written in abundance. They are the fifth most prescribed drugs in America. So this is all about this calcium channel blocker, and these all are L-type calcium channel blockers. But by saying this, L-type calcium channel blockers are very good antihypertensives, but they are not organ protective, and they have some pitfalls. They have some there is some unmet needs with these blockers, calcium channel L-type calcium channel blockers, and this slide has depicted well all of these. Like, they are very good antihypertensive, but they got inadequate cardiac protection. How? They causes peripheral vasodilatation and leading to reflex tachycardia, and thus this reflex tachycardia is detrimental for the health of heart. They can precipitate heart failure, MI, and again these drugs also cannot reduce the cardiac remodeling. So they are giving inadequate cardiac protection. Likewise, in renal, kidneys are concerned, they are very good antihypertensive, but they are not decreasing the intraglomerular pressure, and that's why they are increasing the proteinuria. They are not halting the progression of proteinuria. So the disease CKD progression is going on despite using these drugs. And the third one is they are also not giving proper vascular protection. And as our chairperson has says that it has got very distressing side effect like peripheral edema, and this is the one reason that 5 to 15% of the patients are not taking these drugs. So this is very much non-compliance of these drugs are very much cumbersome with due to this peripheral edema. So with these gaps in therapy, we have one molecule which is efonidipine, which is filling this gap. And how this filling this gap? Because this efonidipine is working on the T-type calcium channel blocker. So from L-type calcium channel blocker, which works on these smooth muscle cells, these T-type calcium channel blockers are situated in mainly these neurons, endocrine cells, pacemaker cells, kidneys, adrenal gland, and pancreas, and giving pluripotent effect. And this dual calcium channel blocker is superior to this single channel blockers, because we are getting L-type calcium channel blocker like effect with them, but besides we are also getting the T-type calcium channel blocker effect. So how we are getting these effects? So see, this is
Excuse me, Dr. Mritunjay.
Yes,
just a minute. There is some background noise. Technical team, please see, there is some background noise that is coming.
But from my side there is no noise, sir.
And not from your side. Some background noise is coming.
Okay.
I request everybody to mute themselves. Yeah, please go ahead, Messenger.
Okay, thank you, sir. So this is the DHP molecule. This is the DHP ring, and at the fifth carbon ring there is this phosphonate moiety, and this is the main efonidipine molecule. So how this efonidipine is giving cardio protection, as I have already said that they are working on the SA not automaticity. So all the other calcium channel blockers are failed to give this negative chronotropic effect, but these efonidipine regulate heart rate by inhibiting T-type calcium channels, which are localized primarily in SA node and are involved in pacemaker mechanism of heart. So they reduces sympathetic nervous system activity and enhances parasympathetic nervous system activity. Again, this calcium channel blockade, this efonidipine also reduces heart rate, so decreasing the myocardial oxygen demand. and they also dilating the coronary vasculature because T-type calcium channel are also situated on the coronary vasculatures. So increasing the coronary blood flow and ameliorates the myocardial ischemia. Again, these calcium T-type calcium channel blockers are situated on the adrenal cortex, so decreasing the secretion of aldosterone, and thus they are preventing the cardiac hypertrophy and preventing the cardiac remodeling. So this is very important. So by this mechanism, they are helping the heart by heart. So again, they have also very good anti-arrhythmogenic actions because these calcium channel blockers are situated on the SA node. So they are inhibiting the entry of this calcium channel blocker and arterial remodeling in AF induced by calcium influx via T-type calcium channels, and efonidipine thus reduces the risk of SVT and prevents AF from becoming permanent by blocking this type T-type calcium channel blocker. So these T-type calcium channel blockers are not only antihypertensive, but they are also anti-arrhythmogenic. They are also protecting. They are also anti-anginal. So these are the other pluripotent side effect, pluripotent good effect with this agent. Again, now coming to this molecule, that these are also very good anti-platelet with efonidipine because they are not only reducing the platelet monocyte activation markers, but also they are reducing the platelet activation and reduces the risk of vascular injury and atherosclerosis. Now coming to the kidneys. So we all know that how the renal hemodynamics behave in different pathologies. So we all know that in chronic glomerulonephritis and diabetic nephropathy, there is arterial vasodilation and vasoconstriction, and this causes this glomerular hypertension. So these molecules, by acting on the afferent and both efferent, they are mitigating this effect. How? We can see in this slide that if you are treating your patient with this L-type calcium channel blocker, then you are only getting this afferent effect, but not efferent effect. But if you are treating your patient with this L-type and T-type dual calcium channel blocker, then you are also you are not only getting afferent vasodilation but efferent vasodilation, and thus this glomerular pressure is decreased. With L and N-type calcium channel blocker like cilnidipine, this effect is also seen. But in diabetic neuropathy patient, this effect is hampered. This effect is mitigated. So these molecules can work in non-diabetic CKD, but in diabetic, but this L-type and L and T-type calcium channel blocker can work on whole, both in non-diabetic CKD as well as diabetic CKD. So this is all about the renal hemodynamics. Now coming to again, besides renal hemodynamics, they are also working on other sites also, like these are the adrenal gland. They are working on the adrenal gland and decreasing this RAS system. Also, they are working on these two proteins, RHO kinase protein and this nuclear factor kappa beta protein, and thus they are decreasing the fibrosis and inflammation in kidneys. So they are not only altering the renal hemodynamics, but they are also altering the inflammation, and they have dual effect. Now you can see here one of the studies where they have studied about how this molecule affect the efferent and afferent arterial dilatation. So if there is a ratio of efferent versus afferent arterial dilatation is more than 1, means afferent arterial dilatation is more. So these molecules where this ratio is more than 1, they will cause more reduction in intraglomerular pressure. And efonidipine is one molecule which ratio is more than 1. Again, in this slide, you can see with nifedipine, there is a gap in it causes more afferent vasodilation than efferent vasodilation. With cilnidipine, again, there is a gap. But with efonidipine, you can see it is causing more efferent vasodilation than afferent vasodilation. And thus, it prevents glomerular hypertension and reduces proteinuria. Again, I have already said that they are also working on the adrenal cortex, and this T-type calcium channel is responsible for aldosterone synthesis and secretion from adrenal cortex. And this angiotensin 2, ACTH, and ANP stimulate aldosterone release via this T-type calcium channel blocker. So, efonidipine, what these lowers aldosterone levels and have a significantly higher magnitude compared to other CCBs. other CC which also reduces this aldosterone. But Efonidipine has got very higher effect on this in this point. Not only this Efonidipine reduces this aldosterone, but this also works on this juxtaglomerular apparatus and decreases renal secretion. So this is the one molecule which reduces renin secretion, aldosterone secretion, and thus it has very good renal and cardiac protection. It gives very good renal and cardiac protection as well. So this is the summary of renal protection, which I have already discussed. So I will skip this slide. Now coming to the how this molecule have vascular protective effect. So one marker of to see the arterial stiffness, we have one marker, cardio ankle vascular index. We can deduct this with this formula, and one of the studies have shown that Efonidipine is the only calcium channel blocker that significantly lower CAVI, means arterial stiffness is very much lowered by this agent. So it is also very good for vascular health of our body. Again, it also has endothelial protection and antioxidant activity, because hypertension induces oxidative stress and leads to vascular endothelial injury and dysfunction. Efonidipine reduces this 8-hydroxy-2-deoxyguanosine and monoaldehyde modified LDL and improves endothelial function. It also has cerebroprotection effect because it preferentially dilates the basilar artery, and it also improves the regional blood flow in the brain like cortical, hippocampal, amygdala, hypothalamus, and cerebellum, and improve cognitive functions. This Efonidipine has also got very good effect on insulin resistance, because hyperinsulinemia causes overexpression of T-type calcium channel in pancreatic beta cell. This Efonidipine lower insulin resistance by blocking this T-type calcium channel blockers, so improves glycemic control. Again, I have already said that amlodipine and nifedipine are common drugs associated with vasodilatory edema. When used as a monotherapy, calcium channel blocker are associated with a substantial risk of peripheral edema, including pedal edema, which is the most common for its discontinuation. Withdrawal rate is around 5 to 9.3%. And with this Efonidipine, there is a negligible pedal edema. If you can see this chart, you can find that peripheral edema is only 0.1%, less than 0.1% with Efonidipine, and it is around 5 to 16% with amlodipine. With cilnidipine and other molecules, it is 5%, and with azlidipine, it is 15.5%. Other side effects like constipation, flushing, and palpitation, it is very low with Efonidipine, and it is around 10% with amlodipine, and with other molecules, it is around 5%. So it has very good. Effect on side effect where other molecules are causing side effect. It has very negligible side effect. Now coming to the pharmacokinetics of Efonidipine, it has got very short half-life, but its hypertensive effect much longer. So it can be given single dosing. The unique characteristic is because of the following reason: it is highly lipophilic, so enter the phospholipid-rich membrane and access the dihydropyridine ring at the calcium channel. So it not works on the surface. It works on the inside the surface. It has very good strong membrane binding effect, and it also slowly dissociates from the channel. So its effects persist for long. So this is why this is the long duration of action. And indication and doses for essential and renal parenchymal disease: 20 to 40 mg orally once daily, with maximum dose 80 mg daily. For chronic stable angina, 14 mg once daily after meal. So this is the equivalent dosage of Efonidipine. If we compare with other molecule, 2.5 mg of amlodipine is compared with 20 mg of Efonidipine, and likewise. And in a special situation like in geriatric patient, we should start with lower doses. With pregnancy and lactation and pediatric use, we cannot use it below 18 years of age, and it is not recommended in pregnancy and lactation. We can safely give in renal impaired patient. In hepatic impairment, it should be used with caution. So overall, it gives 360-degree effect because it has got cardio protection, it has got antiplatelet effect, it has renal protection, it also has very good vascular protection, cerebral protection, decreases insulin resistance, and very least these adverse effects with this molecule. So now coming to the international clinical trial, which I will go in short. This is the very first study, JATOS study, which has been done in the elderly patient, and this has very good number of patients, 4418, around 4500 patients. Duration of the study is 2 years, and it has two arms: strict treatment group and mild treatment group. And it has shown that efonidipine has potent anti-hypertensive efficacy in the elderly with an excellent safety profile. Again, target BP is achieved with efonidipine in all elderly hypertensive patients, and the BP reduction is around 9.7 systolic and 3.3 diastolic.
Building you constructive.
Again, renal subset of JATOS studies have shown that efonidipine improves eGFR in patients with hypertension and renal impairment. Again, there are several studies, so I will skipping these several studies where it has been compared with amlodipine, but very few patients have been registered in these studies. So you can see here that efonidipine is better than amlodipine in increasing serum, because amlodipine increases serum creatinine and increases urinary albumin excretion, while efonidipine doesn't do this. Efonidipine offers better reduction of aldosterone and urinary OHDG than amlodipine. Efonidipine has very good effect on cardio. Already I have discussed this cardio-ankle vascular index. So it is better than amlodipine when we consider CKD patient, when we consider patient of cardiac patient who have arrhythmogenic potential, or patient who are having heart failure patient. So these are the summary of clinical trials. You can go through this, and coming to the conclusion that this efonidipine reduces high BP to similar extent than this amlodipine. And additional benefit which we are getting with this molecule is that it has got negative chronotropic effect, reduces myocardial oxygen demand. It has also got renoprotective effect by reducing glomerular hypertension, reduces aldosterone secretion, reduces renin secretion from juxtaglomerular cells. It also improves endothelial functions and arterial stiffness, and it has got better side effect profile. So thank you very much with this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mritunjay, for extensive talk on efonidipine. I think I've also used efonidipine quite extensively. Biggest advantage of efonidipine is versus other calcium channel blockers, particularly the most popular amlodipine, is that it doesn't causes pedal edema, or rather it will be spared from patients from poking questions, that is repeatedly they tell, sir, mera pair phul gaya. That does not happen with efonidipine, and you can combine with other antihypertensives very easily. Can go with can go with beta blocker, you go with ARBs, S inhibitor, you can go with diuretics, you can combine with any of the antihypertensives very well. It is a once a day, but absolutely well tolerated drug, no doubt about it. And particularly kidney diseases, CKD, chronic kidney disease, this drug works quite well along with other antihypertensives, though probably is, I think so, its blood pressure efficacy is probably slightly lesser than amlodipine, but then 40 milligram is particularly is the dose which it should be used, because 20 milligram doesn't work in majority of the patients. They generally require 40 milligram or sometimes 60, or you are generally once dose is slightly higher, then you combine with other antihypertensives. Again, this drug has a big value, particularly in isolated systolic hypertension. There, it works quite well. Isolated systolic hypertension, and of course, kidney diseases. In chronic kidney disease, this drug is very much well tolerated. So, I don't know, time is there or not. Can we ask a question or comment from any of our audiences, please? If no questions, then we'll close the session.
Dr. Mritunjay, I am Doctor. I would like to ask one question. If the pharmacokinetic of this drug is so better, and this drug is available for last 1 to 2 years, why it is not replacing amlodipine?
Because it is Japanese drug. You see,
Yes,
that is the
yes.
noise level.
Actually, we use drug. We are using this drug for last 1 year. Especially I am
You
using this
see,
drug for last 1 year. I am
I
using
tell
this
you
drug for
what-
last. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I tell you one example. Necorentil is one molecule. It's such a wonderful cardiac molecule, which is present more than, I think, 20 years or more than that. Still, it is not very much popular. Noise level is low because it is a Japanese molecule. It is had it been European molecule or US molecule, it had definitely become quite popular.
Thank you. Thank you.
Misra, you all blamed on the Japanese molecule.
No, I don't blame Japanese. I say they are very good, but then noise level is not there, no.
So, no,
I'm
no,
saying
but
that only.
I have used this molecule. I have used
Compared
this
to Europe,
molecule, but I think the efficacy wise, I am not satisfied. Otherwise, it is a really good one molecule as per the Dr. Mritunjay very well shown
exactly. It has
everything.
to be given in
But if
combination.
you see a 5 milligram of amlodipine and 40 milligram of this molecule,
Is
you
equal to
get
5
the
milligram.
difference.
5
Sir,
milligram.
sir, I am using this molecule for last 1 year, and I am finding it good efficacy wise as well.
It is good, but
I am not very much satisfied with cilnidipine because
Yeah,
before
cilnidipine-
I am not very much satisfied with cilnidipine, but with ifnodipine I am finding it very good efficacy wise as well. And other
do you use 40 milligram or 40
yes,
milligram?
yes.
Equal to
I
5
yes,
milligram of
Only one
amlodipine.
thing, as
yes.
far
I
as
use I
Raviji,
I
as
use-
far as CKD is concerned, can you have a vis-a-vis trial between cilnidipine and efonidipine?
Pardon?
Only in
Don't go,
CKD I am talking. CKD I am talking. Efonidipine
together.
versus cilnidipine.
go together.
No, no, he's
No,
asking
no,
for
no.
a head-to-head trial.
Comparative evaluation, head-to-head trial.
Compare. You say efonidipine has a mild to moderate effect only. So it
Sir,
has
not
to be.
amlodipine. Sir, I am talking about cilnidipine versus efonidipine.
no, there is no trial.
No trial, no trial.
No trial. No trial.
No trial. Amlodipine versus cilnidipine, there is a Carter trial which has shown that cilnidipine is not as effective as amlodipine as an antihypertensive. Yes, it gives antiproteinuric effect as well. This is the nutshell in Carter trial.
I go with you, but as far as efonidipine is concerned, it is supposed to be a better drug in renal conditions. As well as
Yes,
cilnidipine also is a good
Only
drug
because
in
of
renal
edema.
conditions.
but no, but we are not
Because-
finding cilnidipine. We are not finding cilnidipine as effective as amlodipine as antihypertensive effect is concerned. But cilnidipine is as effective as amlodipine in
This
antihypertensive.
organizer will be
Yes.
too big. There will be a time.
Okay, we can discuss
Organizer.
about OCCBs later on. Can you go to the
Okay,
next
okay.
speaker, please?
Let's
Next
go for the
speaker.
third.